Yeah, I think, one of the really important things I discovered from sort of doing a deep dive around this and really trying to understand it within myself, and I think a message that is so important that people understand as well is that, you see, like, let's think of the example of your grandmother has to get hip surgery, right? If anybody's had bad memory in the past, or a family member, they're on like intravenous medication, right? Like intravenous opiates, really, morphine or whatever it might be. And so you don't really see your grandmother come out of the hospital and become an addict. And so I think there's a couple things that are usually going on. And in my experience working with people in practice, I haven't really seen an exception to this rule. And it's that it's for you to have the need to become addicted to something. It's not that you're like, the problem isn't the problem, if that makes sense. It's like the painkillers aren't the problem. It's what is creating at the root subconscious level the need to reach out and rely on painkillers in order to fill that void or in order to escape that pain. And that's really the determining factor. I've never seen somebody be an addict or become an addict or become addicted to really anything. In terms of hard drugs or things like that, even if it's like food or sex or whatever different addictions people struggle with, I haven't seen somebody go through that isn't carrying some stored subconscious wounds that they need to resolve or work through. And as I was doing sort of a deeper dive into a lot of this stuff, one of the really profound realizations I had is that, if you look at, let's just use the example of depression or anxiety, and we hear people say, oh, it's a chemical imbalance. And that's absolutely correct. But you're not born, we don't have infants come into the world and be born with depression or anxiety.
Right.
And what actually happens, they're not born with a chemical imbalance. You don't see a depressed 6-month-old, right? Or a depressed 2-year-old. And so people can carry a certain genetic predisposition towards these things, but it's really that genetic predisposition becomes activated by what imprints you on your environment. And as we go through life in early childhood, we get imprinted by our experiences at the emotional level. So let's say, just as an example, you have, you go to kindergarten and you're a young child and you get bullied your first year of school. And maybe you give that meaning and you make it mean, oh, people don't like me. I can't trust people. People are unsafe. And then when this imprints your subconscious, you form this belief system and that becomes the filter you see the world through.
Yeah.
Now, these belief patterns create patterns of thought. So if you believe these things, you start thinking thoughts when you go back into school the next day after being bullied the day before. And you start thinking thoughts like, oh, I'm unsafe. I hope these kids don't come near me at recess. I hope, whatever, streams and streams of thoughts you'll think throughout the day. And how do you feel when you think these things? You start feeling anxious, afraid, whatever other emotions, sad, desperate. And these emotions are made up of neurochemical reactions. So essentially what's happening is that you're having belief patterns creating thought patterns, producing emotional reactions that are then producing neurochemicals or that are made up of neurochemical reactions. And therein lies your chemical balance or imbalance. Like if you have a lot of painful belief patterns and that's part of your identity at the subconscious level and that filter you see the world through, then you're going to have a lot more negative neurochemical responses throughout the course of the day occurring in a pattern-like format. And then the more you repeat that throughout the course of the day, the more you don't break up that internal dialogue or reprogram those subconscious beliefs, the more hardwired they become into your subconscious over time, because one of the principles of subconscious programming is that it is programmed through repetition.
Yeah.
And so you can see like this sort of output and on top of that, sort of the very last component, and I hope I'm not going on for too long here, but the last component is that neuroscience has also discovered and proven that every single decision we make is based on emotion. And so we can have these really like logical analyses of our decisions right after they've happened at that sort of emotional tipping point. But if we're not in control of our beliefs, we're not in control of our emotional responses, and we're really not that in control of our actions.
Wow.
And so there's a lot to discover there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Boy, you can tell you know what you're talking about. And the language that you use surrounding it is very telling as well. Very instructive when we use words like imprint, and you're talking about belief patterns and thought patterns and neurochemical reactions. And I think more people deal with these things to various degrees than, I dare say probably all of us in some degree deal with this.